Dean,
Sir,
why refer a potential purchaser to a local lender?
why not?
Okay,
Oh, are we done? 30 seconds or less. Well, I mean, first of all, we all love to have that human interaction, that face-to-face contact. Even if, many times I work with clients and I've never met them and they're still here in Sketchum County, but they still know if they want to come down and meet with me, they can meet with me, they can come down, they can see Jennifer, Leroy, we're right here. If you need to get a hold of us, how many times you try to call Ohio or somebody on the East Coast and your time zones are off, they never answer the phone, you have no recourse.
Jennifer, anything to add?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's such a face-to-face type of business. You just, especially for first-time home buyers, they want to come in, they want to talk to someone, they want to see their options. And with us, I don't know about you guys, but our file stays in our office. So it's one-stop shopping. It's the processing, underwriting, and closing. You always know where your loan is, and you can always talk to somebody about it. I don't think you could get through a home loan purchase without talking to your rep. There's just no way. There's so much to it now. So totally go local.
I would agree with those two. The key thing I think is it lowers the stress level of that buyer. If you're a buyer, this is a big deal buying a house. And if you're trying to deal with somebody online or somebody out of state, you don't know if that deal is going to close or not. But as a buyer, you think it's going to close right away. So it's a matter of just sitting across the table, building a relationship, just like you do with your clients. You want to build a relationship with them to ease the stress of a big process in buying a house.
Thank you. Second question. Why does it appear more difficult to get a loan today than it did 6 years ago?
Because it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, look at what we did 6 years ago. No income, no asset, no nothing.
State income.
You know, I mean, you know, it was the mirror test, and that was it. You got a loan, and that's. But look at the loans that are being the homes that are being foreclosed upon. So a lot of times there wasn't due diligence in verifying. These were products that the big investors were creating, and we were asked to sell them, and they were available in the marketplace. So yeah, the guidelines have changed to try to prevent that from happening again. And my last 10 seconds, I think that the government is starting to go a little too far because they're starting to create some rules to prevent it from happening again when we as an industry have already adapted to the new marketplace.
I don't know about you guys, but how many times from previous customers have you heard, you didn't ask for that before? We didn't need that before. I'm like, I know, you didn't need it before. I don't think it's gotten more difficult to qualify your buyers. I think the documentation has gotten out of control, where we're having to document everything, because not only do we have to meet Fannie and Freddie guidelines, but we have investors that we sell to that have overlays to those guidelines. So we go in and lock a loan for your buyer, and we have to make sure we go check Fannie's guidelines and then check the investor's guidelines to make sure they didn't have a rule on top of that rule. So that's what we're doing continuously, is trying to cover all those bases so your buyer doesn't, we don't come back at the end and go, oh, we need this, this, and this. It's a massive amount of documentation now. So I think we can still qualify buyers pretty well. If they're qualified, they're going to get a loan, but they need to expect to bring in a ton more documentation.
And I agree with that. For us, in that we still portfolio everything, you would think, well, we could make our own rules. Well, we can't. But it's true. The documentation is significantly more than it used to be. That Dodd-Frank Act, the intent was really good when they put that into place, but it went way overboard. So you need a lot more documentation. It is more stressful on everybody to do that. But yeah, and that's why it takes a little bit longer. I would say in our shop, it probably takes, conservatively speaking, 3 times as much time to do one deal today than it did 6, 7 years ago. And it's just, again, the documentation.
Well, thank you all very much. Let's have a real warm welcome for our great